The Arctic Oven Igloo is our first geodesic dome-style tent, providing ample space with a lot less weight. The Arctic Oven Igloo is perfect for anyone looking to be dry and comfortable while keeping the weight down. Pilots, mushers, rafters, hunters, and explorers have raved about the igloo's superior performance in high winds and the ease of transport from place to place. Now let's get started setting up the Arctic Oven Igloo. 2 people are suggested for assembly of this tent. Assemble all of the shock-corded poles. Unfold the tent body and lay it out flat. Start by feeding one of the poles from either side of the door through the webbing loops towards the back of the tent. Feed the pole following the seam diagonally towards the rear corner. Make sure the pole goes inside each of the loops on the seam you are following. Install the tip of the pole into the grommet in the webbing strip at the back corner. Use the closest grommet hole to the tent. Repeat this process with the opposing pole from the other corner of the door to the back of the tent. At the front of the tent, push one of the poles towards the rear of the tent while holding onto the closest webbing loop. Arch and bend the pole until you can put the end of the pole into the grommet on the webbing strip at the front corner. Repeat this process with the other pole. Carefully lift the tent as you feed the pole through the loops. Arch and bend the pole until you can put the end of the pole into the grommet on the webbing strip at the front corner. Do not lift the tent with the poles as you will damage the poles. Your tent is now standing and will appear loose on each of the sides. We are about to fix that. There are 2 grommet strips on the side of the tent. Choose a grommet strip and feed a pole through the webbing loops, once again following the seam. As you feed the pole through the loops, make sure that the pole goes under the 2 poles that you installed earlier. You also want to make sure you lift the tent up to the poles instead of bending the poles down to the tent. Install the pole tip into the closest grommet hole to the tent. Repeat this process with the last body pole. Remember to feed the pole under the 2 poles that you installed earlier. Also remember to lift the tent up to the pole. Install the pole tip into the closest grommet hole to the tent. Install the remaining pole, which is the vestibule arch pole, into the grommet strips on each side of the door. Lean the pole against the tent body for now. Your tent body is now set up. Now pull out your tent fly. Position it so the door of the tent body will meet up with the fly door. Pull the tent fly over the tent body, straightening as needed. If you are setting up the tent by yourself, it may help to ball up the tent fly and throw it over the tent body so the fly does not catch on any poles. Continue to maneuver the tent fly over the tent body until the high wind tie-outs are positioned at the corners of the tent. There are Velcro attachments on the underside of the tent fly at the front and the back of the tent. Fasten the Velcro to the poles at all attachment points. Attach the spring clips on the outside of the tent body to the underside of the tent fly. Attach the S-hooks along the bottom of the fly to the grommet strips where the poles were installed. Push out the vestibule arch pole until it lines up with the seams. Attach the Velcro attachments on the underside of the fly to the vestibule arch pole. Line up the ventilation tubes at the front and rear of the tent. Leave the tubes open at all times, especially when using a stove inside the tent. Stake out the rear of the tent fly to secure the tent fly in the back. Then zip the front door shut and stake out the loops at the bottom of the zippered vestibule door. Your Arctic Oven Igloo is now set up. Here are a few tips to ensure your tent will perform season after season. Make sure you seam seal your tent. Although we use urethane-coated nylon, anti-wicking thread, and water-repellent tape on certain seams, you can further waterproof your tent using the seam sealer we include with each tent purchase. Follow the instructions on the bottle. All Arctic Oven tents come standard with plenty of stake-out and tie-out points. It is important that you tie out your tent, especially in high wind areas. Guy out lines are not included with the tent purchase, but we do offer a high wind tie-out package as an accessory. Learn more about the Arctic Oven tent at our website, arcticoventent.com.